Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jonathan and this is Mr. Pearson Talks Books. On this video, I thought we would try something a little different than what we normally do, and we are going to do a book tag. Specifically, we're going to do the BookTuber Adventure Tag. This was a tag that was created by Nikki over at My Messy Bookshelf. Really enjoy her channel. We seem to read a lot of the same books. So it's great to get her insight on things. But she created this tag, and I thought that it would be interesting to share my thoughts on this. So she has 6 different prompts here. The last one is to tag some others. So I will tag a couple booktubers that I follow down at the end. But the first prompt is called Choose Your Adventure. When you started your channel, did you have a specific niche in mind? And I actually did have a specific niche, and that was to talk about middle grade books. For those of you that don't know, I am a 3rd grade teacher. I've been doing it for over 20 years at this point. And so because I'm a 3rd grade teacher, I read a lot of middle grade books, read a lot of books so that I can recommend them to my students. So I have another channel where I post educational videos, and I was posting book reviews over there, but I didn't really want to muddy the waters, so to speak. So I created Mr. Pearson Talks Books as a way of talking about middle grade books for parents, for teachers, for librarians, people like that. And over time, it has kind of morphed. Because my reading interests are more than just middle grade. And I didn't want to pigeon myself into only reading middle grade books. Prompt number 2 is choose your character. When you started your channel, did your true personality shine through? Do you think it does now? I think that it does. I think that I'm getting better about talking on camera now than I was back then. Some of my earlier videos were very scripted or very mechanical in the way that I spoke. And I think now I feel like I'm a little bit looser in how I can communicate to the camera. I actually talk like I do in real life, as opposed to what my wife calls my YouTube voice. Number 3, choose your companions. Who are some bookish companions you remember from the early days of your journey? And they can be booktubers or non-booktubers. In particular, I remember talking about books with my wife, who happens to be an elementary school librarian. I also talked with the librarian at the school that I work at, and the lady who was our library assistant at the time. We talked a lot about middle grade books, things that I was reading, things that I thought would be good for our library. They would recommend books to me, ask me to read them and give my thoughts on them. And I remember sharing some of my earlier videos with them, trying to get better at what I was doing and trying to drum up interest in that. We have a book club at school where I would talk about books with them as well. And didn't really have a lot of booktuber friends. There is a guy, his name is Sean Stevenson. He has a channel where he talks primarily middle grade horror, middle grade mysteries like The Hardy Boys and Sweet Valley High, books along those lines. And we have connected via email and through YouTube because we have a similar interest in books. Number 4 is called The Quest. Choose one or all 3 of the following obstacles. YouTube is a bit challenging, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. The first one is called the comparison curse. How do you handle comparing your channel to others? And I'm going to be honest, I do not handle it very well. It can be incredibly discouraging to see somebody else who has a newer channel than mine that blows up. I'll give you an example. There was a YouTuber, forgive me, I don't remember the name of his channel, don't want to say what it is anyway, He had posted like 2 videos, and he already had over 1,000 subscribers, thousands of views on his videos. It was wild. Meanwhile, I have over 100 videos, and I am still sitting somewhere between 286 and 289 as far as subscribers go, depending on who subscribes that day and who decides to unsubscribe. So it can be challenging. Also, I'm a 47-year-old guy in a niche booktube that is overly saturated or overpopulated by female YouTubers who are significantly younger than I am. And that seems to be the trend, is for younger females to start their channel and get really popular. And then I'm over here just what feels like slogging away and not really making any traction. So that's some of the comparison that I have. The second one is the algorithm dragon. What has been your biggest frustration with growth, with views, or consistency? I think this one is where most of my challenge comes from. Again, like I said, I'm a 47-year-old. I just turned 47 a couple weeks ago, and been making videos for over a year, and I am still stuck at 200 and 200, we'll say 250, somewhere between 250 and 290 subscribers. And it seems like nobody is coming to subscribe, no matter what videos I put out. Like, I could put out a video. I recently posted a video about East of Eden, which is a very popular book on YouTube, and currently I have 25 views on that. So that is a frustration, is how do I get subscribers? How do I get views? And knowing that without the subscribers, I'm not going to get the views. And I see other people who have clearly put in the work. Like, I'm very excited for how much work that they have put in, and they post a video, and 2 hours later they have 5,000 views, whereas mine, my most popular video has about 400 views. So that is my biggest frustration, is trying to get over that hump to get more subscribers, so then in turn I can get more views. And yes, I've seen the videos where it talks about you got to have the right hook, you got to have the right thumbnail, you got to have the right title, all of those things. For some reason, they don't seem to work for me. And maybe it's because those people are talking to a very different niche of YouTube subscribers, YouTube creators, that type of thing. And then the last one is the self-doubt monster. What insecurity have you had to battle as a creator? And I really feel like I'm complaining a lot in this video. I hope it doesn't come across that way. But the biggest insecurity I have is the fact that I am kind of an outlier when it comes to making BookTube content. It seems like if there are guys making BookTube content, they are talking about fantasy, or they are talking about science fiction. And I do talk about those books, but that's not my primary focus. My primary focus is middle grade fiction. I actually had somebody tell me way back at the beginning of my channel that middle grade was only popular in March, and nobody read middle grade unless it was March. And I'm trying to overcome that. But my biggest insecurity is being a guy in the BookTube field, because there aren't many of us, and the guys that are in BookTube tend to read Brandon Sanderson and Stephen King and books like that, things that sometimes I read, sometimes I don't. I really like middle grade fiction. I hope all that made sense. And number 5, was there a moment you considered quitting, and what kept you going? Yes, I have considered quitting multiple times. Especially when I post a video and it gets 10 views or 15 views or tops out at 99 views, that kind of thing. Even when I make shorts, which are supposed to get thousands of views, and I get 100, 150. That were the times where I have considered quitting. And what kept me going is I would really like to see this through. I'd like to see this get to monetization if possible. And I realize that that is a big challenge, to get a BookTube channel up to 1,000 subscribers, especially when you are over a year old and you're still in the 200s. So hopefully something will click here at some point. And then the last question, growth and fulfillment. Do you feel the journey has been worth it? Have you grown as a reader, a BookTube, or a person? Yes. Even though it seems like this video, I've really expressed my struggles with BookTube and YouTube in general, I have enjoyed it. I have read a great number of books that I wouldn't normally have read. One, speaking of which, East of Eden. I don't think that I would have read East of Eden were it not for BookTube, right? I currently have a list that I'm working my way through called 50 Before 50. And there are quite a few books on that list that I don't know that I would be attempting to read were it not for a desire to share that with you all that are going to watch this video. And like I said at the beginning, I think I've become more comfortable with talking to a camera, which is really weird because I'm having a conversation with people who can't converse back with me. So that's a unique and interesting situation. So yeah, there we go. Those are the questions. I hope that gives a little insight as to who I am as a booktuber, who I want to be, and just the desire and the fun that I have doing this channel. And now the last one is to tag others, and I'm going to tag one person. I mentioned him earlier in the video, and that's Sean Stevenson. I don't know if he does tag videos too often, but I'd like to see his thoughts on this and what he's doing. Sean is a published author. He's got several books out. He recently wrote one that I reviewed on the channel called Parable Port, The Sower's Secret, and has a new one coming out in June. Very excited for him. And actually, I'm very excited to read it when it becomes available. So, Sean, tag, you're it. I'll put the questions down in the comments. And if you're watching this and you have a channel and you would like to participate, please consider yourself tagged so that you can share your thoughts here as well. And make sure you let me know that you did it so that way I can come and watch your video. So there we go. I'm going to have a hard time wrapping this one up because I don't have a good question at the end like I typically do. But if you have not subscribed, since I did mention that one of my struggles is not having subscribers, if you are not subscribed and you would be so kind enough to do so, that would be awesome to help get those numbers up. I told my students that we would have a party if we ever reached 500 before the end of the school year. Well, we have about 24 days of school left. So it's going to be a little tight as if we hit that number. But if you could help us get closer, that would be just as exciting. And as always, my name is Jonathan. This is Mr. Pearson Talks Books. We'll see you next time.